Good morning and welcome to our Ninja Skill Booster for the month of October 2022. Can you believe it's already October? We are here to talk about how to love your inbox. This is a really cool topic. It's one that I think can really startle some people thinking about how could I possibly love this thing that drives me crazy and sends me on a spiral sometimes. So I'm going to give you some really cool tips on how to kind of take control, take a little bit of control in this relationship and make sure that our inbox is not controlling our destiny. For those that don't know me, my name is Julie Jones. I work as a productivity ninja here at Think Productive. We love what we do, and we love talking about this stuff. So please keep in touch. If you want to take a screenshot of my details, feel free. But I will send you some materials after the session just to reconnect with you, a reminder and a recording of this session so you can watch it again if you need to, or you can share it with others. Please feel free to share these. And yeah, keep in touch. If you are on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, those kind of socials, we do post little tips and techniques every couple of days. We don't post every day, but we do love to just remind you of a few key pointers and give you some tips and tools that can help you to stay on track during the week. So feel free to find us there. As an organisation, we've been around for, I think, almost 20 years now. I think we kept saying it was about 15, but I think we're nearer to the 20 mark now. And we've been running these workshops all over the world for quite some time, based on the book by Graham, How to Be a Productivity Ninja. And the content that we're going to be chatting about today in our my words are not coming out straight. Okay. In order to love our inbox, we're going to talk about our getting inbox to zero work that we do. In the book, this is chapter 4 of the book. Okay, so it's just as a little subsection, this little one. And we really focus in a lot on the content in this workshop in helping you get to zero and then staying there. Today, I'm going to focus mainly on the how to manage our inbox when we have control over it. So the getting to zero part, we won't have time to cover today, but we're going to focus in on a couple of key areas. I'm going to chat about how to put emails in their place a little bit. Yeah, take back that control. Think about how we might just feel a little bit more organized and a little bit calmer when we're going towards opening our emails first thing in the morning. And I'm going to give you our top 5 tips on how to tame your emails so that you can really love going into your inbox and not feel overwhelmed when you go there. Okay, so let's get into the content. I would love in the chat box, first up, can you let me know in the chat box, maybe just in 1 or 2 words, how do you feel email affects your work and your well-being? How does it affect you? How do you feel about your inbox currently? I'm hoping I can change some of this by the end of the session. In 30 minutes, it's pretty cool. And good morning, Habisha. Distracted, overwhelmed, chaos, distraction. Yeah, lots of overwhelm. Crazy, busy, can't work without emails. But yeah, can't work with them either, can you? It's a really good one. I like that. Yes, yes. It's that whole thing, isn't it? Yeah. Can't live with my partner, can't live without him, that kind of stuff. Yes, awesome. Exhausting, busy, love it when you're away from them and they resolve themselves. Yeah, that's a cool one, isn't it? If we ignore them for long enough, do you reckon they'll just go away? Unfortunately, I don't think they will. Yes, but awesome, very distracting. So lots of distraction, lots of overwhelm, having trouble finding where we're at. Yeah, it's really difficult. So these little tips and techniques I'm going to give you today, hopefully practice them. They will help just to get rid of some of that overwhelm and distraction and clutter. Yeah. And here are a few reasons why we often really hate email. I don't usually like using that word hate, but sometimes it can become a real kind of chain around our necks. These are some stats from 2019, so a couple of years ago, and just before COVID really hit. So I think these numbers are actually a little bit worse now. There's an estimate in this research that we receive around 120 emails a day, and we send about 40. So there's this huge volume of communication that goes on through our emails. And the estimate, which I think is undercooked, is that we spend around 3.5 hours of our day checking emails. That's 40% of your day spent on emails themselves. Isn't that crazy? And if you think about it, I know that the discussions that Matt and I have had and the other ninjas in our team have had with lots of our clients as we've progressed into a hybrid working style, as we're going back into the office, is that emails are constantly on. We're using it as a form of communication, almost like an instant communication, and it really isn't that. So we do have to put them back in their box and figure out how we want to use emails. And I just pulled the latest stats yesterday. This is, again, some research from Adobe and Statistica, that they just updated their latest estimate. 2023, there was an estimate of 3.47 billion emails are going to be sent in the year. And in 2024, 2025, you can see that that number just keeps on growing. Yeah, they're here to stay. They are an important form of communication, but we need to remember that they are just one form of communication. And they can really, just as we've said, distract us, take away some of our thinking power, and very much impact our concentration and our attention. This little stat, I think we may have shared this in previous sessions when we've talked about emails, but I love this. It's some research that they did back in King's College in London, where they looked at IQ and how it was affected by certain things. Smoking marijuana can drop your IQ by 4 points. But email distraction can drop it by 10. So this is really fascinating. Yeah, really fascinating. Think about how much of a distraction your emails are, how much of your time and attention they take away from doing stuff that really matters. Yeah. And we know that bad email, it's the primary source of office interruptions, and it leads us into really inefficient, long-winded communication trails often. Yeah. And as a result of that, we have this lack of focus and we get stressed and we get overwhelmed. I'd love to take a quick poll. If you could just pop in the chat box, how many times a day do you think you currently check your emails, or are they always on? Just pop that in the chat box for me. Let me know, how many times do you check it a day? Always on, Fiona. Yeah. Always on, always on. Look at that. Everybody, always on, always on. Wow. Okay. Elise is a little bit of a ninja already. 3 times a day. Love it. Awesome. Okay. We're going to talk about that as we go into the session. Turned off notifications. Wonderful, Jane. Brilliant. You've been listening. Yes. We're going to talk about that one too. Yeah. Constantly, always on. Yeah. This is really interesting, isn't it? That we just have it constantly there as a way of communicating, even though email should not be a form of instant communication. Yeah. We should be thinking about that. When we do have control of our emails, it can really help us to do a few different things. It can really increase our attention and our focus. If you imagine, rather than constantly being in your inbox, having that on all the time, once it's turned off, once we move away from having that kind of behavior happening, we can increase our attention and focus. We can increase our clarity and reduce stress. And it's a really much more efficient way of getting more done, or the right things done. I like to say the right things rather than more. But this is the power of getting in control of our emails and having a better relationship with that inbox. So here are our top 5 tips. Okay. These are the top 5 things I recommend that you implement straight away. You can do it straight away today, straight after this session. Okay. Number 1, don't overplay email. And Ninja Matt coined this phrase: email is just one form of communication. Don't overplay it. Yeah, it's one in a, sometimes feels like a gazillion ways of communicating with our teams right now. We're tackling that a lot in our Supercharger Team Comms sessions that we've been running with lots of organizations, where we talk about, what is the right form of communication? If we think that it's an urgent task, is it an email? Probably not. Yeah, often it's the first thing we reach for. And then we'll pick up the phone and say, did you get my email? Yeah, how crazy is that? So really think about, don't overplay the importance of emails. Use them as a source of, or a way of creating a connection that documents details maybe, or asks for non-urgent tasks to be completed. But be careful how much emphasis you put on the importance of emails. Yeah, and practice your email etiquette that we talked about last month. Yeah, because every step, every communication, every piece that we do is a step towards or away from the outcome that you're looking to generate. Yeah. So when we practice that good email etiquette, we have rules around, how fast we expect people to reply. Those kind of things help us to put the emails in their place, to really focus in on what should I be doing now? Should I be sending an email? Should I be picking up the phone? Should we have a meeting? How do we set this up? Should it be just a quick Teams chat? Yeah, we can use all of these comms in the right place. Now, our second top tip, which Jane's all over already, is to turn off your emails and your notifications. I worked with a gentleman, a CEO of business, and we did an inbox to zero session. This was one of the first sessions I ever ran, and it still sticks with me, that he had notifications turned on his computer. He had them on his phone, and it literally was like Pavlov's dogs. He didn't know where to look. Every time an email pinged up, he would get bing, 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 and he was just on edge the whole time. And turning off notifications was revolutionary for him, to stop that distraction, to stop the constant moving into other tasks and being pulled off track. Yeah. And imagine turning off your emails, how powerful that is. Turn them off for certain periods of the day so that you don't get interruptions. It's really, really quite powerful. This is what we call part of our stealth and camouflage ninja, this idea of going dark, protecting our attention, giving us space to get really into the zone. So I'd very much encourage you to do that, to really think about how you can be more stealth-like. And apologies, I just had a message coming up in Google. That is very weird. I think I've left my emails open while I'm presenting. That's me being a bad ninja. How about that? That was perfect timing. I don't know if you could hear that little bing, but very distracting. These happen all the time. And even as ninjas, we're human, not superhero. We're going to talk about that one next month. Really important to realize that these things take us off track. Okay. Number 3, stop checking emails. There is this is the one slide that we love in our inboxes, or even in our 3-hour sessions. This is the key thing that we teach, is stop checking emails. Start processing emails. It's a big shift in our mindset, and it's the one that you really need to focus in on, okay? So rather than constantly going in and checking emails whenever emails tell you to do it, yeah, we process, and we process in batches when it best suits you, when you choose to do that. Now, Jane, you might want to pop in the chat box. When you said you mentioned that you process emails, or you check emails 3 times a day, if we set this up for ourselves, we might put, say, half an hour in our diary in the morning to process emails, then again just before lunch, then just again at the end of the day. Because this is not instant communication, as we've said. So 3 times a day could be quite enough. And if we allow time to process emails, and what I mean by process is we do something with it. It doesn't just sit there. We don't just look at it, read it, and go, I've got to come back to that. We process it. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple more tips on that as we go through. But think about, when should I be going in and processing? Do I have time in my day scheduled to do that efficiently rather than just constantly checking? Yeah. So Jane, got diary notes for checking 3 times a day. Okay. Got notifications off. Also still gets distracted by looking at emails in between. Yes. Well, you're almost a ninja, Jane. I know that you practice some of these things really well. So well done. Yes. And like all ninjas, we practice this all the time. Okay. I'm getting a hand raised from Deepika. Deepika, would you mind just popping it? If you have a question, would you mind just popping it into the chat box? Matt, would you be able to help me just make sure I keep track of that one? That would be great. Awesome. Thank you. I will keep going because I don't want to run out of time to share some of these tips. But yeah, if you wouldn't mind popping your question in there, that would be awesome. And remember the 80-20 rule. When we're thinking about processing in batches, remember this Pareto principle applies to your inbox. We've talked about this technique for a while. 80% of the emails that you receive require no action. Yeah, no action at all. They could be newsletters, they could be just information, they could be CCs, yeah? 20% of the emails produce 80% of your impact or your results. So think about which of the 20% of the ones I want to really focus in on. And the rest of them, I can forget. I can file, I can delete, I can move them somewhere else. I'm only going to focus on the 20% that are going to give me the results that I need. Don't assume that the default response for every email is reply. The default response should probably be delete or file. Yeah, there's a whole heap of emails that come in there that really don't need your attention. And if we can reduce some of that clutter, even better. If you if you're used to using rules in things like Outlook, there are many, many ways of setting up rules to stop some of this clutter even landing in your inbox. So things like setting up rules for CC, putting CC straight into a CC folder, that kind of stuff can reduce the volume of emails you get significantly and cut that overwhelm. The next little tip I wanted to mention is don't do email on your mobile. Okay, don't do email on your mobile. And what I mean by that is it's easy to check emails on your mobile to see how much is there. It's really hard to process emails on your mobile. So think about taking it off. If you can, remove it from your mobile. I know that might sound scary too, but this is the reason, because we know some of these stats exist. 52% of us are checking emails before work. Now, this is, again, 2019 stats, and I reckon this is worse now, especially when we were working remotely and especially as we were getting into the hybrid working environment. Yeah, so we are spending time. Yeah, it's a great tip, isn't it? But it's scary. The thought of not being on the money, being out of touch. Yeah. No, Elise says, feeling a bit scared of taking this off or thinking that these stats are really bad. Yeah, there's some really scary stuff here. It starts to consume us. It takes over our lives. It's like a really bad partner. Yeah, constantly looking for validation, constantly looking to take over our world. Yeah, and we need to stop this behavior. And think about this, 25% of us, again, I think this is probably higher now, of millennials and Gen Xers check emails on vacation. This is meant to be our sacred space, the space where we can rest and recharge, and yet we're checking emails on our holidays. Really not good. And again, I think these stats are way undercooked. Let's see, when the new report comes out, they haven't reissued these yet, but they estimated 21 minutes a day are used or wasted on overchecking emails. Again, I think that's undercooked. And they estimated that most people are checking emails 15 times a day. Now, we've just shown in our little poll of, we've got 95 people on the line today, that's actually always on. So yeah, these are really bad habits. So we want to get away from this. We really want to make sure that we stop this kind of stuff happening and put our relationship on a better footing with our inbox. Now, number 5, this is a little technique that is part of our Inbox to Zero program. As I mentioned, I'm not going to be able to get you to zero today. That's really tough in 30 minutes, but I am going to mention that it's really a wonderful process. This is what a zero inbox looks like. If you don't know what that looks like, I mean literally no emails in your inbox. Yeah. And we use a process in the Inbox to Zero program called triage. So thinking about the idea of, if you went to the hospital, if you had an emergency, you would be triaged by a nurse. You would actually be placed into a kind of line of order as to how important you are in terms of, we really need to see you straight away. We need to do something with you straight away, or we might need to say, you're not quite so urgent. I'm just going to move you to, the middle of the queue or the back of the queue because we have really urgent stuff happening. So this is a really important one to think about. I'm just pausing. Felicity's just saying, I'd think my email wasn't working if I saw it looking like this. Yeah, and it can be really overwhelming when you see a zero inbox to start with, and then you realize that this sense of Zen-like calm comes from this space of, I'm actually on top of everything. Everything is under control and we're okay. This is wonderful. And let me show you, this is what we mean by triage. So we're going to make our inboxes really intuitive. So we teach you this in the program. We set this up. We're going to have 3 processing folders. So we've talked about, we're going to process emails. When an email lands in your inbox, there's always somewhere for it to go. Okay, so this is the idea, is we set up these 3 folders. There's an at action, at reading, and at waiting folder, and these sit just underneath your inbox. So they're right at the top. The at symbol catches your eye. You can see these, and these become the place where all of those emails go to. So this is what we do. So if there's a 2-minute rule we can apply. If the email lands in your inbox and you can do something with it in less than 2 minutes, do it. Get it done, move it on. Okay. If it takes longer than 2 minutes, we put it into our action folder. And that becomes almost like a little to-do list within our inbox. And that's the place we go to when we've set time up to process. So we go in and we process, we do that work. The other two folders are really cool places too, because the at reading folder is where anything goes that you go, okay, I've been CC'd on that. I'm just going to put that in my CC folder or my reading folder, and I'll sort it out later. Yeah, so you've got a reading folder, you've got a chunk of emails when you have time or the desire to go in and read, you've got some stuff there ready to go. And your at waiting folder is a really important mindset place too. This is where we put stuff that we're waiting on someone else to do. Okay, so popping it into the at waiting folder means it's not my stuff now, it's their stuff. And I will check on it occasionally just to see if they've done it. But this is not something I need to have in my mind. I don't need to hold that now. So that waiting folder is a really powerful place to be. So we set up our inbox like this. And as I mentioned, any email that lands in your inbox has somewhere to go. It never needs to sit in that space and just become this long list of clutter. Yeah. So I would really recommend give this a go, set it up. It is life-changing. And that's a big statement, but we find this just such an efficient way to manage our emails. So yeah, give it a go. Okay, so what we've covered today, we've put hopefully emails in their place. We've really started to think about why they have such an impact on our lives and how we can take a bit of control back on that. And we've covered our top 5 tips. So I'm just going to refresh you on these. The top 5 tips, don't overplay them. They're one form of communication, not the only form of communication at all. Turn off notifications and turn off your emails too, if you can. Turn them off between times. Awesome. Thank you. I love that, Peter. Thanks, Rosina. Stop checking and start processing. Process these emails, get in control of them and move them on so that they're not a constant distraction. Now, I did say take mobile emails off your phone if you can, but if you can't, minimize them. Yeah, minimize the amount of time you spend on the mobile emails, and especially before work. Yeah, this is, as we say, sacred time. If we recharge our batteries, if we have great energy for the day, we're going to get much better work done. So there's this diminishing rate of return if we just extend our day and keep doing things like checking emails morning, evening, and night. Yeah. And remember to triage in your processing folders. This really helps us to cut through all of that clutter. Now, I just wanted to also give you a tip. Chapter 4 of the book, if you have a copy of the book, grab the book. But this chapter 4 will help you to get to 0. Okay. Or talk to us. If you need help, let us know. We love running this workshop. So come and chat with us about getting to 0. And a little surprise for you guys. You know, we like giving these surprises out. This is, I've left the word competition. It's not a competition, kind of. This is just a quick draw, okay? So we will send you a copy of this Inbox to 0 book. We've got three to give away. Just email us, okay, straight after the session, or yeah, you'll probably be in your emails already. We know we get really good responses from these things, but send us an email, hello@thinkproductive.com.au, and just say, I want to be an Inbox to 0 hero. And we will send you a copy of the Inbox to 0 book. Thanks, Sue. I'm so glad that the tips have been useful for you. And just to mention, our next Ninja Skill Booster, as we're coming towards the end of our session, is Human Not Superhero. As we move into November, we're already seeing people are feeling very stressed and overwhelmed this year. You know, this year feels like it's flown by, and we want to give you some tips and tools around how to remember that even as ninjas, we are human. We're not superheroes. So please register for that. Matt, would you mind? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I forgot to I might be able to just grab this. Actually, I don't think I can. Let me just see if I can. I can grab this and pop the, oh, I stopped screen sharing. No, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I will go back to screen share. Apologies. Oh, look at this, Ninja Tech. Really good example of human, not superhero. Yeah, this happens sometimes. We get so excited and carried away. We press the wrong button. And that's what happens. So I'm going to start sharing my screen again. I will just go back here. Oh, thank you, Matt. That's beautiful. Matt's just popped the link for next month's Ninja Skill Booster into the chat box. So please feel free to register for that session. We are very excited about this one. This one is going to really help us to keep a bit of energy and balance as we go towards the end of the year. And in December, I haven't mentioned December's one in the deck yet, but December's skill booster will be our Cut the Christmas Overwhelm one, which was a real hit last year. So a couple just to help you maintain some energy and balance as we move into the year. And if there's anything else that we can do to help you guys and your teams in the next couple of months before Christmas in the lead up, or if you're getting ready for January, we've got lots of other workshops, lots of stuff focused around hybrid working, if that's an area that you're needing help with, but also usually our standard workshops. We've got loads of great stuff there for you if you need any help. Again, my details, I'm going to just pause and let you take those details if you need them. Please keep in touch. I hope that that's been useful for you today. And please, I'm going to just make sure that we, oh yes, I didn't mention that, Matt. Thanks for the reminder. So there's one other bucket. I talked about processing folders. I'm just going to whiz back on my slides if I go back to, seeing as we've got a couple of minutes, on the triage area. So when we set up our processing folders, when we have our at action, at reading, at waiting, there's a fourth folder, which is a really great one to use if you are getting to zero, if you're trying to clear out the clutter, if you've got many emails just sitting there that are old and not needed, is we put them into what we call the attic folder. Or it's like an archive folder. It's a place, you can call it a big bucket, you can call it whatever you like. We had one guy last week on our 6 Weeks to Ninja program call it the ghetto. He literally just put all of his old emails into this bucket, the ghetto bucket. And that's where you can just chuck stuff that you don't need anymore. Yeah. And you don't need to delete it. It's quite safe. It's there if you needed to go back and check on it, but I guarantee you probably won't. So that's a great way to get to, to really get rid of some of that clutter that's in your inbox and get very quickly down to zero so that you can implement this process. I hope that was useful. We are very much at the end of our session, but please stay on the line. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch or ask some questions now. I will just whiz back to my details slide so that you know who we are. Please keep in touch. Wonderful. Good job. Lovely. I can see lots of comments. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope that was useful. And please stay in touch. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next Ninja Skill Booster. Wonderful. Take care and have a great day. I'm going to pause just for one more minute in case there are any questions. I'm looking to my other screen just so I can see if there are any questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lots of thank yous. Wonderful. Have a wonderful Friday. And if you're doing your weekly review, as I will be today, I hope you have a great celebration of all the things that you've achieved during the week. And look forward to a great week next week. Take care. Wonderful. Okay. How many folders are too many, Alana? That's a great question. If you have, we like to think about big buckets rather than tiny cups. Okay, so if you have lots of little tiny cups, lots of little folders that have 1 or 2 or 3 emails in them, then it's too small. Yeah. Think about staying at the big level. But also remember that things like Outlook and Google have really powerful search functions. We don't often need to put things into folders. There are exceptions to that. Some folders can be really useful. Things like, I know for me, I have a tax folder for each year because there are multiple suppliers, there are multiple receipts and invoices that I'm going to need to get for my tax return. So I put all of those into one folder. Yeah. Likewise, you might want to have client folders if that's something that's really important for your organization. Whichever way you work best, just make sure they're big buckets. Yeah. Awesome. I hope that helps. Thanks, Alana, for the question. Awesome. There's still quite a few people with us. Any more questions? Any more? Awesome. Okay, then I am going to say farewell, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today and look forward to seeing you in the next session. I'm going to stop recording and we will post the recording out to you shortly. Have a wonderful Friday. Take care. Thanks, Felicity.